Under no circumstances are we allowed to talk about how bad my makeup looks in this video. It gets better after I just grind down the amount of lip liner I'm wearing, but I couldn't refilm a video after the first book. I learned my lesson. I flew too close to the sun. The information I gave is fine, so there's no reason, just because I look busted, to refilm this. We are in agreement.
It was so good. Okay. I have not read this book in like a week because I finished reading it and then like my hair looked a fucking mess, so I was like, I've gotta fucking redo my hair, which I did. There are some bits from the beginning of this book that I don't remember. I did write editing notes in my notes though. Today we're gonna be discussing the second book in the Secrets of My Hollywood Life series, On Location. This one is about Caitlin getting, balancing her life as, a pop, a teen idol actress, with her, trying to find balance in being, both a superstar and just like a teenage girl. And this time she's working on a movie for the illustrious Hutch Adams, and she's trying to balance everything out with this movie and her co-stars and her boyfriend Austin. They're still together. This was good. This goes from the first book where she's kind of like, her flaws are a little like, she's like a little naive, whereas she's fully in her, like, she's kind of fully in her element here, and thus her flaws as a person are more apparent because this is just like kind of how she is, how she responds to things. It was good. It was a good quick read. I read it in, I think, 2 days. I finished it real quick. Yeah. Hollywood secret number 1. When it comes to celebrity dating, many stars talk about the benefits of dating a fellow actor. Between you and me, that celebs only dating speech is weak old baloney. The only truth is it's tough to date a fellow actor. There's too much competition over who's the bigger star, and too much stress over spending the next 6 months apart when you ship off to shoot a movie in Bangladesh and he's in location in the West Indies. The real reason actors so often date other actors is we've got nobody else to date. Stars mostly spend time with other stars and reality show hangers-on. A famous actress is unlikely to find her next relationship while pumping gas at the local mobile. That is, unless you spend a few months pretending to be someone you're not. That's how I met a guy. A real guy, like Austin. That's how I met a real guy like Austin. Now I just hope he can handle living under the microscope. I just wanted to read one of the praises on the back of the book. It's from School Library Journal, and it really encapsulates what I love about this series. It's refreshing to meet a chick lit character who's living in Hollywood, is famous and amazingly rich, and yet maintains moral standards. Caitlin's a cutie. She's just, she might be a habitual liar who lies even when she doesn't want to lie, but she's got morals. Alright, book 2. It was first published in 2007. 1. The Comeback Kid. Caitlin is back. It's been a couple of weeks since the end of book 1. Her relationship with Austin is still going. It's still thriving. She's vibing. They're doing what teens in 2007, 2006 were doing. Sucking face and, Motorola sidekicking. T-Mobile sidekicking? I don't know. I don't remember. Her parents are in high spirits because she's landed a role. The Hutch Adams role. And she is the it girl, Caitlin the Stallion. Like, she's just had a hot magazine shoot where they're doing some like Britney Spears-esque, like way too sexy for her to be 16, like shots, but she's loving it because she's, originally was supposed to share the cover with someone else, and they bumped it so that she would just be the cover story. Like, okay, things are going well. Too well for Caitlin as she preps for the role of her young life. Apparently the movie has gone through some weird changes. It's still vaguely about young people at a school, but like they're, outside of Caitlin and her co-star's role, everything else has changed around it. Caitlin has gotten her brother Maddie a role as her little brother. That is a role that has been kind of significantly reduced as they're, trying to figure out what's the balancing star power and artistic vision of Hutch Adams. I just signed on to, which is currently known around town as the Untitled Hutch Adams Project, or as Variety dubbed it, Hutch Adams' next surefire blockbuster. I'm finally going to work with my favorite director, and the best part about it is I honestly can say I like the plot. I play Carly Murray, a teen at an elite high school who finds out that she's been groomed since birth to become part of a shady superhuman race. Maddie is reading for the part of my younger brother. He's a shoo-in. This is like the plot of The Testing. This is like Divergent and The Testing made a baby. Mom has switched from can't believe it's not juicy couture tracksuits to can't believe it's not Lucky Brand jeans, as she's wearing these like bootcut jeans with like bedazzles on the ass, just, every day, all day. And I can't be comfortable. Like, I went through a phase where I wore nothing but jeans. Not a highlight of my life. Okay, so in all of this success, the magazines, partially the role, like all the covers, she's like up for all these things. She's a teen, most likely to win an Oscar. All of this is because of the buzz and good press from the end of book 1, where she was essentially like, my co-star is a bitch! And, essentially putting her face out there. She was a soap star before, but now she's a star. I'd say that book 1 was a teenage girl on the brink of, a breakdown, finally, overcorrecting and taking control of her life. Instead of, giving them an inch, she took an entire mile to go pretend to be someone else at a school where she, probably wouldn't have to interact with her parents too much while working, and could, get away from 5 minutes of, always being on and always being the breadwinner. It's kind of like 6 hours. It was 6 hours a day for like 6 weeks where she wasn't having to be productive. Now, it, So we're coming into our first Hollywood secret, which I read off the back of the book. Is it Hollywood secret number 19? Is it, it's 2.1, her feelings for Austin are ever growing. They have a special relationship. He calls her Burke and she calls him Myers. They call each other by their last names. It's so different than what anyone else in her life calls her. So, it's special. It's just between them. Knowing that she's going to be on set all summer, she wants to make sure she gives him something that's useful, and so that he can always, be in contact with her if he wants to be. She gifts him a sidekick. He's apparently never had a phone this technologically advanced, which is so funny because, again, it's the slide up, clack, but whatever. Chapter 2. Walk down bad memory lane. Caitlin's mom continues to be the worst, the absolute worst, by making everyone late because she decided she absolutely needed to go shopping on their way to a meeting in LA. on a day where it's rainy. And if you've ever been on social media, you'll know, even if you don't live in LA, the day that it rains in LA, because all the people who live in LA, they can't stop tweeting about it because they've never seen water before. So there's like a whole traffic jam, and they're now worried about being late because how are they supposed to get to the studio on time? They would have gotten to the studio on time if Caitlin's mom hadn't stopped. Meg, you suck. We learn of Carol Ingram, Lainey's former mentor and boss, and also she is one of the most cutthroat women in Hollywood. She is just an absolute beast. She gets the publicist. She gets the publicity that she wants, but at what cost? And honestly, that's what this book's about. That's the crux of this book, is how far are you willing to get the best press for a movie, to do what is best for the movie. We meet Danielle Cook, Hutch's production partner, who Caitlin has been interacting with, more so as she gets prepped for this role. She's nice, normal, you know. She's normal. Caitlin has been doing capoeira, which is that, you know, that fighting dance style from that episode of Bob's Burgers. Which, like, I know, like, culturally it belongs to, like, an actual group. It doesn't just belong to a show. But I can't help but be like, Bob's shitting himself? We learn that Hutch has absolutely no tolerance for script leaks. Like, you keep that stuff under your hat. You don't go showing the neighbor boy. Don't go showing anybody. The group rolls up to Wegmans, the Universal Warner Brothers stand-in, as they finally arrive. They've called ahead to be like, hey, it's raining in LA, we're gonna be late. And they're just, you know, trying to be as respectful as possible. She goes into the meeting, and it's super tense. So, you know, now it's Hollywood secret number 2. Just because Variety announces you snagged the role of a life in an upcoming role. Just because Variety announces you snagged the role of your life in an upcoming film doesn't mean you're guaranteed to set foot on production. Stars drop out of movies all the time. Both voluntarily, boxing rehearsal injury, didn't like the latest script changes, got pregnant, and involuntarily. And, okay, now I know how to read it. Okay. And involuntarily. Like when a director sees the error of his ways and realizes the lead isn't worthy. I know this mega hot actor who had 2 hit TV shows and practically the pick of any upcoming movie he wanted. He signed on to do this big, and I mean big, movie with a hot director, and then was quietly dropped a few weeks before production began. Rumor has it the director realized his would-be leading man may be funny, but he also can't do serious. Gulp. I wonder if Hutch had a change of heart about me. He hasn't, but he did reduce Maddie's role in the film and is introducing a third kind of lead. We are introduced to Caitlin's co-star, Drew Thomas. He is an ex-Flame, like, dated for like 3 weeks when he was in a guest slot on the show. He really used her to push his own rising star forward, and it left her very damaged in the process. She's a very hurt gal by this man child. Isn't Drew Thomas the name of the guy from the Cinderella story, the one with Selena Gomez? Caitlin really seemed to have fallen hard for this guy, and it really hurt her, and even a year later, she is so pissed to see him. Everyone gets reintroduced, and Hutch walks in. Everything still feels super uncomfy, like job security is not assured. End of chapter 2. 3. Cruella de Vil. Hutch walks in, looking grim, and he brings in the devil. Carol Ingram joins, and she comes into a clap of lightning and terror and emotional just turmoil. Everyone's super tense now that she's entered the room. Carol, my feeling is, my assumption in my notes, what I wrote before I even knew, was that Carol was going to want to play up the romance between the leads, Alf, Offset, because that seems to be what everyone's so interested in Caitlin about, is like, who is she dating? And that was going to be the crux of this movie. Because she also, Caitlin, at this point, hadn't been particularly public with her relationship with Austin. So I was like, oh, and it's gonna be like, are you gonna just hide your boyfriend away? Honestly, 7 out of 10 ain't bad. The story has gone under another rewrite. And a tertiary character is being beefed up. That tertiary character is now the best friend character, who is now a villain and will be played by Skye. Of course, Skye walks in. She has now dyed her hair. She is no longer a long raven-haired brunette. No, no, no. She has extensions down to the ass. Platinum blonde. She's tanned like me. Just absolutely a Malibu Barbie icon. Racially ambiguous. Like, she is the enemy. And she comes in like a flame. She's leaning on Hutch's chair. And Skye flirts with Drew, and, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of headassery is about to take place. It is assumed that she is broken up with Trevor. So Carol comes in. She's she's not enthused to see Skye because she wasn't told by Hutch. But technically, Hutch doesn't have to tell her anything. But she's like, oh God, whatever. I'm gonna figure this out. And we are introduced to the radical publicity plan. Hollywood secret number 3. Most actors' film contracts detail their publicity requirements. While every star handles press differently, some will only do talk shows, some prefer print interviews, some only talk to the foreign press. Everybody is required to do something to promote the film they've signed on to. If you renege on that promise, it could derail your career. My girlfriend Laura skipped out on a European press tour due to exhaustion. She hasn't been able to get a meeting with the studio, let alone the producer of the movie she screwed, ever since. I've heard of directors like Peter Jackson allowing press on film sets or keeping production blog, but a production publicity tour is new to me. With such a hectic shooting schedule, how are we going to find the time? So, Hutch and Carol leave the production meeting in an argument. She's bitching him out for changing things. And Skye brings in her new assistant, this country as a biscuit girl named Madison. Nadine is sizing her up, and she's sizing up Nadine, and everyone's all weird, but Skye is just pulling her off to be like, come do my bidding. The Untitled Hutch Adams Project. Script continued. 12 International. Carly's Kitchen. Daytime. Setting is a slick state-of-the-art kitchen with stainless steel appliances, minimalist decor, and cold black granite countertops. Carly and Marie, 16, and Regina Halcock, this guy's character, also 16, and Carly's best friend are in the kitchen making dinner. Okay, spill it. Why the sour buzz? It's nothing, really. Pauses to look at Regina. Okay, this is gonna sound silly, but do you ever wish we lived somewhere else? Live somewhere else? Sorry, I'm gonna get there. We're gonna find the voice. Are you crazy? You hated Ireland. You said you never had no real friends there until you moved back here. I remember you looked so pathetic on your first day that I had to ask you to sit at our lunch table. Thanks a lot. No, you're right. Forget I mentioned it. You've gotten the sweetest deal of anyone I know. Especially you. A hot boy toy, parents who give you anything you ask for, and a kick-ass car. What more could you want? I don't know. Sometimes things just don't seem to fit, you know? My life is too perfect, like a fairy tale. Don't you ever feel that way? Ah! Why would I? People would kill to be me. Camera stops at Regina, pans in tight on her face as she watches Carly continue to cook. Regina looks up at the ceiling at something the audience can't see. Donovan Cook, 18, strolls in wearing sweats. He's soaked from a heavy workout. He walks over to Carly and kisses her. Regina watches quietly. Tastes almost as good as if I had made it myself. Hey, Regina. Staying for dinner? Regina hastily gets up from the bar stool she's perched on. No, I forgot I have some place I have to be. You guys enjoy it. 4. Playing hooky. Okay, so Caitlin is really trying to get into her role, trying to feel it out, but her brain is absolutely mashed potatoes. She's the lead. She's got lots and lots and lots of lines to learn, and as a person who just finished doing finals, you can't fill your brain with all that stuff all the time, every day. You'll break down and cry. You'll simply die. Hollywood secret number 4. I wish I could say that there was a foolproof method to memorizing a script, but there is not. Every actor does it differently. I start by going through the pages and highlighting all my lines in green, my favorite color. Then I reread my part to death. The key is to think about the meaning of the sentence rather than just the words. When I do that, I can almost sense what the character is going to say next, even if I don't know the line verbatim. But the best help for learning the script is running lines with someone who will actually act it out with you. Rodney, who's itching to be an action star, is always game. As is Nadine, ironically. Sometimes they get so into their parts I have to pinch myself to keep from laughing. All else fails. If you still don't know your lines, you can always hide out in your trailer till you've got the scene down pat, or carry the script in a book and pretend to be reading the latest It novel. She's trying to learn these lines, and she's like brain fried, done. But you know who's not ready? Brain fried? Fucking Maddie. He's so excited for his 7 lines of dialogue. I just my tongue open. That he is like learning everyone's line, learning the script. He's learning it inside and out. He's so nervous and he just wants to run lines with his sister. And her parents are out of town, so it's the perfect time to go fool around. Caitlin calls Liz and is like, hey, you want to go to this Xbox event? She's like, duh, of course I want to go. So the two are making plans. She texts Austin and is like, hey, get ready. We're gonna go to an Xbox event with, Liz and her boyfriend. And then Maddie busts in and he's like, I too would like to run lines. And she's like, hey, shit, I would just sneak out, but you're gonna be a little snitch about this. So would you like to come with, bestie? And he agrees to come because she tricks him into thinking that he's on the list, that he himself has been invited. And honestly, like, an Xbox event, not the wildest, not the farthest fetch for a child. So he comes along and is just being a prima donna the entire time in the background. Caitlin, our resident gamer girl, is, soft launching her boyfriend. She brings him there. They ask some questions. She can tell that they're kind of trying to probe towards the movie, but, no spoilers. So she's like, you want to talk about what game I'm playing? I love Halo too. She's a gamer. She's not like other girls. She's a gamer girl. Then Drew shows up, and right before she gets her photo taken with Austin, he takes his place, and is all weird, and Austin's just like looking stunned in the corner, like, how did I end up here? she introduces Drew to Austin, and Drew is unimpressed, and Austin's pretty like, this guy stinks. Drew, as quickly as he comes into this plot point, he leaves into the wisp to go be annoying elsewhere, leaving Austin to play video games with Carmen Electra. So they're all sitting together. The group is all sitting together. And Caitlin's so excited to have her friend, Liz, back on set with her for the movie like she did for the movie she filmed last summer. And Liz is like, hey, my dad wants me to get a job so I can understand how the real world works. Well, Caitlin's like, well, if you want to, like, you could be on set as one of my second assistants, but you could shadow behind one of the actual producers, like, get your foot in the door, figure out what you want to do. She's like, totally, and they're totally making this plan without talking to Nadine at all, because, like, please, talk to the person who you're signing up an assistant for. This can't end poorly at all, can it? The night ends. The movie starts shooting in a week. 5. Wilshire. Pre-production, pre-publicity requirements. Lainey breaks the news to Caitlin that she has to do press with. Carol wants Caitlin to do all, capital A-L-L, all press events for the movie with Drew. Each and every one of them. They're trying to do, like, compliment sandwiches, so for every, like, shitty thing that Carol is imposing onto this movie, she is also, given a good thing. So, like, Liz has been okayed to be on, the whatchamacallit, has been okayed to be on payroll. But she also has to do press with what's-his-face. She's been gifted her Peloton on her rider, her Nordic track, actually, the original Peloton. Her elliptical to her trailer. Hollywood secret number 5. Film writers. Those phantom documents that contain all of a celebrity's demands for a film, TV show, photo, or music shoot are the icing on the status cake. A-listers typically have contracts that allow them 30 to 40 perks per each of which involves some sort of financial compensation, like $15,000 for an on-set nanny or $1,000 a week for a trainer. I asked for an elliptical, which has not only helped me stay fit for filming, but also provides me stress relief and a supply of tea and coffee bean and tea leaf fat-free ice blends. Studios Studios are used to the request, but still triple cross their fingers that stars' demands don't spiral out of control. I know a former co-star who insisted on 800 thread count sheets on her hotel bed, $75 vanilla candles burning in the bathroom, and chilled raspberries on the nightstand every night. I sleep on 600 thread count sheets at home, so I don't know what you're talking about, Miss Kiki. So she can't get her hair and makeup team are not going to be allowed to be, the compensated makeup artist on set. Hutch uses the same makeup artist on all his films, so they'll have a cohesive look. So with, the okaying of Liz on Nadine's rider, we get this quote of Caitlin's mom throwing shade at Nadine, which just proves to me that Nadine is in fact the best character in this book. Okay, Kate, next time you want to add an assistant, you should talk to Nadine about it beforehand, Dad warns. She was a little upset to hear that you were hiring Liz for the shoot. She was? I thought Nadine liked Liz. She's always busy on my film shoots, so I thought she'd welcome an extra pair of hands. You know Nadine. She's always busy on film sets. And I thought she'd... Fuck. You know Nadine. Mom says briskly and pushes her hair behind her shoulders. She likes to take credit for doing all the work herself. Dad clears his throat. Honey, Nadine told me she was just worried she and Liz are too different to be your joint assistants. She doesn't mind Liz hanging out on set, but when it comes to a job, they have totally different ethics and backgrounds. Lainey finally peps up and is talking and is just like, there's a lot of press that they want her to do. And they also want Drew to be appearing to date her to make buzz for the movie. Okay. Lainey believes it is an attack on her personally because of the falling out between Lainey and Carol. And Mom didn't read all the fine print, so this is, we're just kind of stuck in it. Carol fully believes that all press is good press. And really, Lainey really redeems herself in this book. From the first book where she's kind of a little too gung-ho, Lainey knows when to pull back. And Lainey is then going to spend the whole rest of this book trying to look for ways to get Caitlin out of some of this hot bullshit that she's in. Caitlin is, like, we're not dating and everyone knows it, but the headline from the Xbox event, instead of being, about her and Austin, about her and video games, it's about her and Drew because Drew stuck his fat head in there. Who'll capture Caitlin Burke's heart? Hollywood's new bad boy or the high school heartthrob? Stolen moments with the famed player while Austin stood glumly in the corner. I read on Xbox Party. The two dated last year. And now she has to be like, shit. Now I gotta tell Austin about Drew. Because she didn't fully explain her relationship with Drew to Austin. Which is, like, fine. But, like, this is a side tangent. This entire book is tangentially, like, step-siblings related to my least favorite type of young adult, like, romance conflict. Which is, like, my least favorite is, conveniences and just, like, misunderstandings. Like, I hate those. This is worse because it's her lying for no reason. She's lying by omission, by not telling the entire truth and not telling it and not being forthcoming with it when it is convenient. Like, she's just like, Austin wouldn't understand, but she never attempts to get him to fully understand her world. He's like, like a little mouthy, but all teenage boys are mouthy. Like, once you tell them, like, this is how it is, this is how I operate, you have to work within that. And she doesn't even give him a chance to operate within her world before she's like, he just wouldn't understand. And then is surprised when his feelings are hurt because she's essentially been lying to him for, at the end of this, 6 months. Or not 6 months, shit. At the end of this, like, 2.5 months. It, like, never stops. Like, she never tells him that she had the flash in the pan relationship with Drew. She doesn't tell him fully that Carol is the one orchestrating this relationship and that's why she can't, like, see him as often. And she, like, wants to keep promises that she makes with him, but she can't do that because of Carol. And, like, if she could just say that, like, he's like, if Coach told me, Coach only controls your career for the 4 years you were in high school. Outside of that, like, what's Coach gonna do? Talk to your manager at the box folding company? No! Like, Lainey and Carol are going to have wide-reaching implications for the next, like, however many years of her life. I got 3 more books to read, bitch! Like, we are barely even scratched the surface of what Hollywood is going to do to this girl, and you comparing it to your high school lacrosse coach is absolutely asinine teenage behavior on brand. Doesn't make it any less infuriating. Oh my god, I hate I truly, because I knew where we were going once we started rolling downhill, and I was just like, ah, shit. This isn't going to be fun for me. This isn't going to be fun for any of us. We're all suffering today, babes. 6. Day 1 and counting. So it's the first day on set, and turns out that Hutch is a crazed auteur type. He's like a Quentin Tarantino. He's like, Alfred Hitchcock, you know, yelling, screaming, bitching at the actors to get what he wants out of them, out of their performance. And it's like, yeah, these are actors, but they're still people, and maybe have a tiny schmidgen of respect for the people who make your films good. That's big at Hollywood secret number 6. Movies don't shoot in chronological order. If your script is set in London and New York, you'll unreasonably increase production costs if you jet back and forth 100 times. Instead, productions shoot all the related scenes in one city before flying to the next. The same principle goes for productions that require numerous scenes spread over the course of the movie to be shot at the same private home in Nantucket. Usually, they'll shoot all the house scenes together even though they're out of sequence. And the off chance a production calls for an Olympic-sized pool and is booked all of June and July except for today, they'll probably shoot there the first day of production. So they are, you know, shooting at a pool. Liz and Nadine are straight up not having a good time with one another, as Liz actually having to get herself places for the first time, misses public transport, she isn't allowed backstage on security, and Nadine was unreachable because she's in job mode. And Nadine is just like, she showed up late, and she's not doing, you know, the job I asked her to do. We haven't gotten to that part yet, but we'll get there. It's already super tense. Like, Nadine has a way of doing things, and she doesn't want to have to switch that, especially just for the vanity project of her boss's friend. Like, I get it. Sky's new assistant, Madison, is hanging around with Nadine and Liz and all of them. Is it suspect? I would think so. I would not let anything having to do with Sky be anywhere near me. But Madison is sweet, again, country like a biscuit, so they're nice to her. However, I find it to be a red flag immediately that she wanted to see Caitlin's Bible. Like, have we not learned from literally the plot of the first book, like the thing that ruins everything is the fact that Sky orchestrated the stealing of a cell phone so that she could get that information? Are we all babies? Just object of permanence. No, don't remember. Insane. Okay, so Rodney gets cast as a extra, as a grunt. He just gets spotted because he was just hanging around on set talking about, you know, swimming and being a buff dude. And Daniela, the production assistant's like, hey, we could use some more grunts. You want in? He's like, of course! He wants to be an actor so bad. I'm gonna be sad when Nadine and Rodney leave, because I feel like that can't be forever. We can't have these great, loving characters forever. Hutch has a meltdown, and production pauses while he meditates. 7. Awkward conversations. So, Caitlin still won't tell Austin over the phone about her previously. So now they're seeing each other in person, and she finally tells him that Drew and her went out. And he's just like, I wish you would have told me, which is like, bottom of the barrel. Scraping the bottom of the barrel. All anyone wants is honesty. That's all everyone wants. But that's too hard. So now Caitlin has agreed to have dinner with his family on Friday, so that, you know, they can, you know, connect and talk and stuff. Well, literally right as that happens, alright, hold up. Well, and you know, nothing's happy in the trailer. Everything's shit. Because Liz isn't enjoying her job as second assistant. Liz has the role kind of in the first book as being the more down-to-earth friend, but she is still insanely privileged and rich. So she's, not used to having to just do grunt work, like take people's orders and, run around and do stuff. She doesn't get to learn the fun thing. She has to, you gotta work up to it. She thinks she's better than running lunch orders and returning wardrobe and props, which keeps looking bad on Nadine, which is really my issue. Is it's like you can fuck around and find out if you're the one finding out, but Nadine is the one who's gonna get in trouble because you decided that it was more important to shadow Danielle than it was to return wardrobe pieces to production. So they're all hanging around on Caitlin's trailer, and that's what Hollywood Secret number 7 is about. Hollywood Secret number 7. If you're interested in where a celebrity ranks on the Hollywood food chain, check out the size of their trailer. Mobile mansions are stars' home away from home. For the Adams Project, Sky, Drew, and I got Star Wagon's Megastars. The trailers are tri-leveled with a sofa bed, wardrobe closet, full-size shower, flat-screen TV, and a separate living room. I like my digs, but a true A-lister like Julia or Angelina wouldn't be caught dead in this aging wagon. They'd probably have the Star Wagon Supreme, a 43-footer that's so tricked out that most studios beg their stars not even to ask for one. They have a full kitchen and with Corian counters, hardwood floors, and a bedroom that can fit a queen-size mattress and a 42-inch plasma screen with surround sound. Smaller castmates are housed in bangers, 2- and 3-door trailers, nicknamed for the banging sound they make when the door shams shut, but they usually have several separate dressing rooms. Maddie was hoping for one of those. Instead, he's in a honey wagon, or how he calls it, the slums. There are 10 separate tiny dressing rooms without any amenities, not even your own bathroom. Kind of explains why he's taken to hanging out in my trailer so much. And then Maddie's there. Maddie's hanging around Caitlin's trailer, and Liz forgot his lunch, so Caitlin just gives up half of hers because it is so tense between Liz and Nadine. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like, get a grip. Why use an adult woman? 23 is barely an adult woman. It's hard. Caitlin has been idolizing this other actress, Mina Burrows, with her unfamous PA boyfriend, and how they're just so happy and how cute and how they get to just be out and about together in the presses. Lainey calls. Carol wants Caitlin to go to a movie premiere on the same night as her dinner with Austin's family with Drew. Caitlin and Lainey decide that because it's technically... What in the hell? Okay, because it's technically not related to the movie, that she shouldn't have to appear with Drew. Is that she shouldn't have to arrive with Drew. And that, she doesn't have to tell Carol where she's going to be at all times. So, Caitlin is just like, yeah, sure, I'll leave from Austin's dinner to this event, and then I will meet Drew on the red carpet. Very specific wording about what she was willing to do. Okay, so Madison arrives to tell them that shooting has been pushed back and that she's got another 15 minutes. It's totally cool. And no one checks because everyone trusts her. Again, if it's coming from Sky's camp, why would you trust it? But whatever. They trust her, and then she's sitting around, and then when she finally comes to set, everyone's pissed at her because they've been waiting for an extra half hour. And she's embarrassed, and Hutch is glaring at her, and it's just mean, and she's just like, ah, shit, I've never been hated before. I hate this. 8. Dinner at Austin's. So Caitlin has dinner at Austin's family's house. It's better than she ever dreamed what a normal family's dinner is like. As she's being doted on by the mother, who just, wants to make a nice impression on her son's girlfriend, and the daughter, the sister, who is just so into family affair, and she's just obsessed with Caitlin, and the piece of resistance, the dad who does not give a shit, who does not watch TV. Honestly, she doesn't watch Family Affair either. Hollywood secret number 8. Many stars don't watch their own work. Yes, stars are egotistical, but you'd be surprised at how many of us are uncomfortable watching our own celluloids. At movie premieres, some stars actually do the red carpet, then slip out when the lights go down. Sometimes they have legitimate reasons and can't stay, but the reason could also be that they don't want to sit through a movie again. You're scheduled to do world publicity tour for a film. You don't want to see it set in London and then again in LA and then Munich and Tokyo. Personally, I find it hard not to laugh at myself being dubbed over in Japanese with the too high baby girl voice. Yikes! Feels racist. As for TV, many of my co-stars don't watch FA. It's nothing personal, it's just we spend so much time filming it and so many hours on set. Who has time or the desire to watch all those episodes? Austin's dad is like, peak dad who just like works and just does not think through. So he's just like, man, really miss your ex-girlfriend's baked goods. Why would you say that? Ugh, it's not all sunshine and roses though. Shooting ran long, so Caitlin actually had to get dressed at his house and also barely had enough time to pick up the tiramisu. She actually had to have Nadine have it delivered halfway through dinner so that, they would get to enjoy it. Heading out as dinner has wrapped up, she gets a knock at the door, and they get a knock at the door, and who is it? It's not Rodney coming to pick her up. No, it's Drew. Who told Drew where she was gonna be? Why is Drew there in the first place? So many questions. Caitlin is pissed, so is Austin, but is more embarrassed than anything because she essentially brought the other man to her man's dinner. Rude. And Drew can't stop being an egotistical gross. Just like, hey, cutie, you know you're unwanted here. We don't want you here. Madison also is the one who told Carol where Caitlin was going to be. And they still talk to her. Don't talk to her anymore. No more. 9. The Antarctica premiere. This is where shit really hits the fan. So, it's all Carol's fault. I blame Carol. So, Carol sends Drew to come pick her up. They don't even tell Caitlin's people what she's doing. So, essentially, Caitlin gets kidnapped to go to the premiere. Because Rodney doesn't know where she is. Nadine doesn't know where she is. Nadia didn't know where she was. Lainey didn't know. Just like, she's just gone. And she has to go, to save face for the movie. On the way there, to soften the blow, a conceit sandwich, Carol tells them, or I believe Carol's assistant tells them that they have been asked to do the Teen Titans Award as hosts. Think MTV Teen Choice Awards. And, it's all hot teens doing hot teen shit. It's the role of a lifetime. And, you can't throw a fit after that. They essentially try and keep her complacent by spoon feeding her things that are going to be great for her career while it's slowly killing her. Caitlin gets a hold of Lainey and tells her, and that's, when they figure this all out. So we're already on strike 1. When we get to, they go through the premiere together and, they answer questions, they smile, they go through the movie. She hasn't really been paying attention because, she's so frazzled about this. We get to this LAX airport hangar where they're hosting the after show, and she's not allowed into the venue because Sky is Paris Hilton alike, and she's like a lady DJ. So, all of her friends DJ in these like clubs around LAX and all that, so they don't let her in. Production assistant comes by and is like, let her in? What the fuck? And so that's strike 2. She's already just like, this is some bullshit. I sense some fuckery afoot. Alright, yeah. So they get in, and suddenly, Caitlin, who does not want to be around Drew, is also being pelted with goldfish. She's throwing goldfish at her. This absolutely, just like, she's losing her mind. Sky walks up and is, again, just so gross. Drew is again being wildly touchy-feely with her, even though she didn't ask for it. Sky broke up with Trevor for the summer because he wanted to go back to Idaho, and she didn't want to be in Idaho, and she didn't want to do long distance. So, fair reason. The throwing of the goldfish finally gets her to snap. Again, don't throw food at me, I'll kill you. He went back to Idaho for the summer. Sky rolls her eyes. He was homesick. I told him I don't do long distance, Trevi. Trevi was upset, but if he misses me, he can try and win me back with some expensive jewelry in the fall. Nice move, Drew says admiringly. I step away from both of them in disgust. That's when I see Sky has in her hand. It's a glass bowl of Pepperidge Farm goldfish. Did you throw those at me? I ask angrily. I might have slept, she says with a slithery grin. She picks up another one and aims it at my face. Oops. Why does Sky have to act like a 5th grader? That's it. I pull out my cell phone and speed dial Rodney. Pick me up at LAX now, I bark and hang up, prepared to end this nonsense with Drew and Sky once and for all. Before I go. You need to back off, I say shakily to Sky. Stop trying to make my life miserable just because you're miserable playing smaller roles than me. Sky's eyes flare. Oh! And if your assistant messes with my schedule again, I'm going to get her fired, I warn. But instead of being intimidated, Sky gives me a sick smile. I whirl around to see Drew. Let's get something clear. You and I have no chance together, I hiss. We're co-stars, nothing more. Let's do the press we have to do, shoot our scenes, and avoid each other off camera. Katie Bear, Drew coos, reaching for my arm. Don't fight this. Ping! Another goldfish whizzes past my nose. I push Drew away from me. Leave me alone! I don't want anything to do with either of you, you lying schemers! When we're not working! I snap. My chest rises and falls rapidly, and I take a second to realize the music has stopped and half a dozen people nearby have heard me yell. A flashbulb goes off, which is definitely... A flashbulb goes off in my face, which is definitely bright red. Oh God, what have I done? If that's the way you want it, fine, Drew whispers, looking mortified. If there's one thing Drew can't stand, it's bad press. You don't know what a mistake you just made, he adds, eyeing the crowd, which is lit up by repeated flashes. Untitled Hutch Adams Project. Script continued. 138 exit, gas station, daytime. Camera pans the scenery of heavy rainstorm, abandoned gas station. Both Carly and Donovan are wet and scared. We have to keep moving. Are you okay? I don't know. I really don't know why those guys would want to run us off the road. They want us dead. Dawn, I'm convinced it has something to do with what Miss Murphy caught us reading in her computer. You didn't see the rest of that email. It said our classes are being groomed to take over the human race, like Nazis. They've been lying to us. You're crazy. Think about it. The shot she was giving Todd, he threw that desk like the Hulk on speed. They've been drugging us, our food, our water. The training, they're breeding us to become super robots. But our parents, the school, they would never allow it. Unless the school was in on it. They could have given us our parents some bull about how they want to help us excel. But when Miss Murphy's minions realized we were onto them, they decided to do away with us. Which is why they sent those guys. Do you think Regina knows? She didn't act surprised when we told her about the experiments. No. I gotta call her back and warn her. She's probably freaking out that we got caught off. Carly, you told Regina where we were? How could you... Words are hard. How else would those goons be able to show up so quickly? Regina's working with Miss Mercury. Carly shakes her head defiantly, but she stops when she hears the sound of branches snapping. Shh. Did you hear that? Someone's coming. Run! 10. Trailer talk. Everything's been hella tense since the Hollywood party at LAX. She's sitting in her trailer and she reads some, my favorite thing to do. Caitlin and Sky, the war rages. Meow! The second month of shooting begins on the set of Hutch Adams' new flick. The family affair stars are cracking more than the fireworks on the 4th of July. The bad blood is getting worse, a source tells In the Know. The feud between Caitlin Burke and Sky Mackenzie reached a high at the Antarctica premiere. Caitlin arrived with co-star and former flame Drew Thomas at the premiere party at LAX and was tossed out in the cold. LAX is Sky's turf, sniffed one pile. After Caitlin finally got inside, things got uglier when witnesses say Sky pelted goldfish crackers at her. An onlooker tells In the Know, Caitlin lost it and began screaming. She told Drew and Sky she wants nothing to do with either of them. Sky and Drew were reportedly mortified by the public shaming and vowed to get even. Drew wants Caitlin, but he knows hanging out with her archenemy will make her jealous, says that source. And since Sky broke up with FA co-star Trevor Rainwhite, he's been on the prowl. Sky thinks Drew is a great catch, but can't see him wasting his time on Caitlin, adds the source. Let's hope the three of them simmer down. There's over a month left of shooting on the Addams Project. Production on the new Family Affair season begins in August. For once, the tabloids didn't get it wrong. So now that that has happened, Drew is finally leaving her alone on set. She has to film a tense scene with him, the scene that I was reading before, where they're just like, how could you tell her that? And she's, excited to shoot that scene because it won't be hard for her to find hate in her heart for this man. At least apathy. Carol is pissed about the movie premiere because, it is press, but, it's not the press she wants to be making. Someone told Carol where she was going to be. Madison. And Caitlin thinks it's Madison. She doesn't know yet, but she's blaming Madison. It's Madison. I won't hold you. Madison, because she's always around Liz and Nadine on set. Austin comes to set, to, talk about what happened at the family dinner on Friday. And, dealing with, all that has happened. All the balls that are up in the air with Caitlin. Hollywood secret number 10. Gory makeup tricks. Avoiding what I'm sure will be an awkward conversation for just a few minutes longer. Film makeup artists are responsible for creating everything from cuts and bullet wounds to makeup looks that will age you 30 years. My set artist has been filling me in on how they do it as he applies Carly's scratches, using maroon eyeshadow and a stippling sponge, a black makeup pencil, fake blood, and an ice pop stick, and gashes, tweezers, a flat wooden spatula, powder, concealer, flat cotton swabs, red bruise makeup, flesh putty, heavy black thread, and crazy glue. The coolest thing he taught me is how to make fake blood. He uses Caro syrup and a splash of blue and green food coloring, and his secret ingredient, coffee mate, to control the flow of the blood gushes. I'm having fun walking around in the black and blue instead of picture-perfect makeup for a change. I hate when the Hollywood secrets really have nothing to do with the chapter. Austin really questions everything she says. And she's trusting that Lainey and her mom will look out for her when, it's kind of being shown that they're not. At least on her emotional well-being in the short term, she is getting absolutely shafted. Through the whole first book, we've kind of proven that they will do anything for that sweet karma. Like, as long as it's legal, they will attempt to put Caitlyn through it. Her career. I don't think that he's being ridiculous in saying that, if she didn't want to do something, she doesn't have to. But what she wants to do long term is to be an actor in this industry. And what she has to do that is play ball with these people. I think he's, like I said earlier, he's just a little too naive on, you gotta play ball sometimes. Not everything is tailor-made for you. She's the star, but she's a star that could always be replaced. You can change how the movie is shot and edited so that Sky is the hero. You can reshoot some stuff. If the director really doesn't like you and really wants to kill your star, they will. That's all Caitlyn can focus on, and he's, pondering the forest for the trees, but this tree that she's stuck on is a tree that is currently jutting into the front view mirror of her car. Like, this could kill her. Like, she's not Julia Roberts, babe. She invites him on set to watch a scene get filmed. When on set, instead of running through the scene normally, they're supposed to be mad at each other, Drew kisses her. And, goes on this whole thing about, why he would think that's a good look and why he thinks that's, what his character would do. Caitlyn's like, no, that's sick. That sucks. Because she does not want to kiss him. And Hutch is not having it. Hutch is sick of her at this point and her being in the press all the time. He's causing her to doubt her. And then essentially bitches her out in front of everybody. When she's like, I don't want to do this. So now she has to run through the scene with her feelings hurt, no one on her side, and her boyfriend was in the crowd. When Caitlyn is straight up not having a good time. When she finally is done with that situation, she's looking for Austin and she can't find him. He is left set. He is, gone. So now she has to do an interview and pretend like everything is super cool. Even though, she just essentially invited her boyfriend on set to watch her make out with her enemy and her ex and, his enemy at the moment. It's really just like a frowny face. Just like, oh. Yeah. Chapter 11, Fight Club. While doing practice for a fight scene with Sky and Caitlyn, the two go from working on choreography to actual catfighting on the ground. Paula has to break up this fight and sends the girls back to their trailers, bruised and beaten. Caitlyn is just emotional because this isn't who she is. She wasn't raised to throw bows. She's like, God, don't tell my mom. And Nadine's like, we have to tell your mom because someone will tell the press. And then we didn't tell your mom, so we gotta tell your mom that you were out here busting up bitches' heads. I have some quotes to read, but, Hollywood secret number 11. Not all movie fights are fake. Some on-screen slaps, punches, and falls are real. They hurt bad. Sure, the scene is staged down to the most minute detail so that no one gets injured, but sometimes the slap needs to be real in order to be convincing. On FA, we shoot fights in slow motion, but there was this one time last season when Sam was dating this guy who spread a nasty rumor about her going all the way with him. Not. Neither Sam nor I have rounded second base. Sam was supposed to confront him and slap him across the face. The cute actor playing the jerk, Jimmy Feeney, didn't want it to look staged, so he made me promise him to hit him as hard as I could. It felt weird smacking him across the face, but the dailies did look amazing. Jimmy had a huge red welt on his cheek, and he was so proud. So they're all getting squirreled up. Watch your mouth, pretty boy, Rodney grumbles. As Sky and I glare at each other, neither of us moving a muscle. This close up, I can see her sweat-smudged black eyeliner and the tiny mole above her lip. Maybe you should read your script more and flirt with Sky less, I retort, Carly wins this fight, remember? Yeah, but Carly gets beat up pretty bad. And that's all that matters. Sky spits as she pulls her arm back and prepares to take aim. I block her punch, grab her arm, and twist it behind her as planned. With a free hand, I jab her in the stomach, a bit harder than called for. Oof! She moans, then she clocks me on the side of the head. Use the choreography, girls! This isn't a bar brawl. I stick my leg out to trip Sky, but she sidesteps me and kicks me in the shins. Sky, move your feet with the music, Paulo adds. Remember, this isn't just a fight scene, it's a dance. A dance of anger, capoeira. There has to be a gif of that. Tell that to Kay, Sky seethes. She's the one with the pent-up frustration. She didn't even want Drew. I wouldn't go that far, Drew interrupts. That's not Drew's voice. I wouldn't go that far, Drew interrupts from the sidelines, but I'm focusing too hard to turn and glare at him. But now he's gone, and she can't handle that he wants me more than he ever did her. Sky finishes sounding shrill. You can have Drew, I say, unable to keep my mouth shut. I block my face with my hands. You're used to my leftovers anyway. I love it so much. I love this book. Sky looks like she might breathe fire. She hits my bent elbows with her fist, banging my forearm into my nose. I grab her arm and give it another jab to the hip. Your popularity is failing, Kay. You want to take it out on me, Sky Pants. You know Hutch regrets the day he hired you. The two of us must look like tigers circling their prey. We move around and around and around in circles, each of us stepping forward to take a hit or block a punch. If any star is failing, it's your own, I tell her. You're always in my shadow and it kills you. For once, I'd like to see you get a roll on your own instead of trying to steal mine. I'm so proud of my comeback. I miss her fist flying at my jaw. She connects, and the pain goes shooting at my face. All right, you two, that's enough, Paulo shouts. I catch a glimpse of Drew looking on in apparent horror. The studio will kill me if either of you get hurt. Maybe you should give them a minute, Nadine suggests. Lots of fighting. And it only gets worse from there. They end up getting into like a full-on brawl. Just like extensions and a hand, just punching. The whores are punching. Just going at it. And she is like immediately embarrassed when she has to be pulled apart. But, you know, sometimes you gotta deck a bitch in the face. You gotta end that bitch's whole career. Caitlin goes back to her trailer and is sitting and just like is ready to sit and, you know, wait for her next call when it is someone leaked some of the script. So now Hutch is, you know, screaming flaming dragon. So they have to call off filming for the day while he decides if he's going to rewrite the climactic leaked coffee shop scene. So now Caitlin can go to Austin's charity game, which is taking place at Clark Hall. She wouldn't have been able to make it before, but now she can. So, 12. Sweet Charity. She heads to Clark Hall in incognito mode, but Principal Pearson can always spot her diva. Stan can always see their obsession. Caitlin donates $1,000 to the school, and then she sits and watches the lacrosse game with Haley, his younger sister, with Austin's younger sister. So after the game happens and Austin sees her in the crowd, he apologizes for jumping down her throat about Hollywood, and she apologizes for kissing Drew repeatedly, like in front of him. Which is, like, technically not her fault. She did not want to kiss him. But, you know, it's a little like I invited you here and now we're fucking on your couch kind of situation. She invites Austin to be her date for the Teen Titan Awards. Even though I could have seen this, a person who's only just now introduced into this world, could see that it probably isn't a good idea to have a date that isn't Drew. Like, she could have just rode this out and, like, landed the plane without all of this. But, you know, whatever. She also invites him to be her date to the Hollywood Girl Awards. Hollywood Girl is kind of just like a dinner. It's a publicity thing. But she gets to go there and be awarded for being a Hollywood girl. Yeah. Hollywood secret number 12. You've probably heard actors claim this and can attest that it's really true. Filming love scenes is not a romantic experience at all. On screen, a makeup session looks like 3 minutes of pure heaven, but it's not. Those 3 minutes took hours to film. Hours! Imagine lying there, in some cases half naked, though I'm not talking about myself since I have a no nudity clause in my contract, with a camera inches away from your face. A crew of 20 standing around you and a director yelling things like, use more lip, Caitlin. Turn your head slightly to the left. Now hold it. Drew, put your hand on Caitlin's hip. Stay there. And action. And then you have to do the shot again from several more angles. It's too technical and awkward to be romantic, even if the guy you're kissing is cute. God, and don't even get me started on the guys who have locked lips with who've skipped the Listerine. Yeah. 13. Maddie. And also Rodney's debut. Untitled Hutch Adams Project. Script continued. 115 International. Rob's room. We pan across Rob's ultra-neat bedroom from the closet to the bed where Rob is sleeping. Carly peeks out of the closet and hurries across the room to the edge of Rob's bed. Rob, wake up. It's me. Carly, are you okay? We've been looking for you everywhere. Rob, you've got to listen closely. Get dressed. You've got to leave with me before they come after you too. Carly, you need help. Let us help you. Us? Don't tell me they've gotten to you. She begins looking for an escape as Rob talks. You don't have to be afraid anymore, Carly. Just come downstairs and talk to Mom and Dad. Tell them you were wrong. Everything will go back to normal. Listen, they're brainwashing you. They're making you think that the changes that are happening to our bodies and mind are a good thing. Do you think normal people can leap across buildings, Rob? They're doing this for the greater good. You're missing what's at stake here. Carly backs up to the window and tries to pry it open behind her without Rob seeing. There's still time, Rob. Leave with me. I'm sorry, Carly. You obviously don't get it, and you've left me no choice. Mom! Dad! Mrs. Murphy! She's here! She gets to film her, Caitlin gets to film her scene with her brother. He's a natural. She yeets herself out of a window. Rodney's there. Everything's great. High action octane. Mom and Dad are on set, and they don't want to go into Maddie's banger trailer. They're like trying to be supportive, but like, you know, they're real bougie at this point. It's been too many years. Nadine and Liz are fighting loudly outdoors outside of the trailer, and it's round 2. So Liz versus Nadine beef 2. Liz thinks that she's too good to be an assistant and do assistant stuff. She won't do the things that Nadine asked her to do. Liz shows up late and leaves early. She's generally a spoiled rich girl. She can't trust Liz to do the work. Liz's beef is that she is here to shadow Danielle, and that this, essentially saying that, like, what Nadine is asking her to do is less important than her and her dreams and her, future. And she's like, why am I doing grunt work? Caitlin has to hold Liz back from trying to fight Nadine, which is a big yikes, because it's just like, Nadine cannot deck a child in the face. She's like 16, 17. Liz insinuates that Nadine hates her job, even though that's not true, and it leads into Hollywood secret number 13. Nadine and Liz's jobs isn't a picnic, but it isn't all chores either. Nadine has some pretty good perks as a celebrity personal assistant, and a nice paycheck. First class flights anywhere she goes with me, her own hotel room, killer freebies. Jacob & Co. recently gave her a pretty nice bling that's usually reserved for celebrities, and a sideline view to all of the Hollywood action. I should remind them that not all personal assistants have it easy. Sky makes her ever-changing assistants do heinous things like pop zits. Yeah. A teen country music star I know makes his assistant run all over town to find Air Force One sneakers. He never wears the same pair more than twice. Another acquaintance makes his assistant have his Evian purified by a shaman before he'll drink it. And one of my married co-stars on FA makes his assistant pay his girlfriend's bills on the sly. Okay, so I always got smoke for Caitlin's mom. Fuck Caitlin's dad too. Caitlin's dad knew that Hutch was an asshole and like a yell, and low-key an alcoholic, and was just kind of like gonna let her do it because she was so excited to work with him. Like, your job as her parent is to make sure she's not just getting verbally cut down by some douchebag in a band tee and a camera. Like, this is all worth it because Caitlin is now getting her first $2 million paycheck. I don't really talk a lot about the money Caitlin's making in these books, but like, Caitlin is making millions of dollars for these people every 2 or 3 years, and now she's making $1 million a year. And it's just like, is this not your baby? Is this not your child? Nope, only cash cow. Caitlin's mom doesn't think her relationship with Austin is worth it, and honestly at this point I don't think so either, but you know, I like romance. So I must disagree with the mom on principle because she's terrible. Haley actually spoke to the press. Nothing but positive things, but she did speak to the press after the charity game. And so Caitlin's mom is like, I want to put all of them hoes on NDAs. She does not like or trust them. But I believe she also hasn't met them yet, so, you know. 14. Your typical Hollywood girl. Liz and Nadine are in the doghouse because mom found out that they were fighting loudly and is like, you do not argue loudly in front of the competition because they can hear some shit and they can do some shit. Don't ever do that shit again. Cut it out. So they're in the doghouse. So essentially the conflict goes, Mom and Lainey are pissed at Liz and Nadine. Liz and Nadine are like, we didn't talk to the press and there wasn't any press around when we were arguing. Let's think this through. Think this through. So they're doing that. Caitlin Burke's assistant blues. Family affair star Caitlin Burke is making enemies even inside her own camp. Sources close to the star, who are currently shooting Hutch Adams as yet untitled actioner, says her assistants are ready to walk off the job. Just last week, executive assistant Nadine Cobb and recently hired best pal turned gopher Liz Mendez were caught bickering on set over their boss's increasingly outrageous demands. Liz was saying how she's over picking up after Caitlin's wannabe actor brother Matthew, and Nadine was saying how tired she was of making Starbucks coffee runs 3 times a day. The source says the pair reportedly fought over who would have to get Caitlin's green tea and who would stick around the set to have lunch by the star. By the end of the heated argument, both were saying how much they hate their gigs. Looks like Caitlin Burke has another war raging in her own backyard. She gets pulled over by a cop, bitching them out. And we are now on our way to the Hollywood Girl, whatchamacallit, to the Hollywood Girl Awards. Austin and her posse head to the Hollywood Girl red carpet. Caitlin gets offered to be the new face of a luxury cosmetic and skincare brand called Fever. Hollywood secret number 14, real celebrities endorsement deals. And I don't mean talking about their favorite watch on Ellen in hopes that they get sent a free one delivered to their house the next day. Are quite lucrative. We're talking 7 figures. But you didn't hear that from me. Celebrities never reveal how much a company paid them for an advertising gig. And that's why it was so hard in the influencer industry, because y'all wouldn't tell us. So we were getting absolutely dog walked for the first 5 to 10 years of influencer marketing. Now we know what's up. Now we know what's tea. We got calculators for that bitch. Not telling people how much you make is anti-union, babes. It lets the man have power over you. But I guess if you think you're the man, I'm not getting on this high horse. Hold up, yeah. Mom and Seth have always been picky about who they thought was worthy of the Caitlin Burke brand, which is why you won't see me hawking Zik medication anytime soon. Clean and clear and under control. But Fever is a no-brainer. Classy, high-end, and popular. Still, if I sign on, I've got to watch my step. If you're caught using a rival brand's product, or you talk about another brand in a magazine, you get fired. A supermodel I know got canned from her diet soda contract after she was caught on film sipping the enemy's beverage on 3 separate occasions. And my friend Gina, who was hired by a brand that's well known for their all-natural soaps, begged a magazine not to reveal that she used a rival body wash on the set of her new movie.
Just between you and me, how much Pepsi do you think you drink on an average day?
I really do like Pepsi.
Really? What's your favorite kind?
Do. My favorite kind of Pepsi? Pepsi's Pepsi.
Well, you don't drink Diet Pepsi or
No,
Pepsi
just
Vanilla or Orange Pepsi?
Just reg.
So, everyone leaves. They go about, exploring the event. And then she gets cornered at the table by herself by Carol, who arrives to insinuate a threat against her rising star. That if she doesn't play ball and doesn't do what she asks, do what she tells her to do, she will never work with Wegmans again. Drew now has to be not only her co-host to the Teen Titans Award, but also her date, which of course anyone could have seen coming, but that's outside of the scope of the movie. The movie will be done filming by the time this is done. She plans on essentially just attaching the two at the hip for the next however long so that she can get that publicity. Carol leaves like an ominous other mother style, and Austin returns to bring enjoyment and light and levity back to the event. Okay, 15. Caitlin's got the fever. Because Caitlin's filming the movie, she can't go and film with the rest of everyone else to go film the product stuff for Fever Cosmetics. So in a penthouse in LA, she's filming. She's all getting all dressed up. She's the new face of Fever Cosmetics. She's got to do some quick photo shoots. Excuse me. Hollywood secret number 15. Celebrities are never as beautiful in person as they are in photographs. The truth is, we're airbrushed to perfection in almost every advertisement or photo spread you've ever seen, not counting paparazzi shots. Why do you think we always look so haggard in those? No touch-ups. Magazines usually won't admit it, but almost all of them do digital retouching so that stars in their photos will look amazing as possible. The photo editors I've worked with always tell me not to worry about pimple breakouts for this very reason. They remove the zits and ill-placed freckle, unwanted facial hair, even slim down body parts when needed. I've never done a nude photo shoot before. Can you believe I've been asked to? I'm only 16. But my friend Gina tells me fashionistas took an inch off of her butt and slimmed down her arms in her naked shots. I saw the photos and believe me, Gina is not that tiny. Rude! Give us the thick Gina edit. We haven't even met Gina yet. Give us thick Gina. So, in between getting set up, she goes back to her dressing room, where Austin joins her, keep her company. She has to tell him that he can't be the date to the party. And he's like, well, why do you let them have so much control over your life? It's like, they're not your mom. And she's just kind of like, this isn't funny. What do you mean she can't tell you who to bring? She's not your mother. He chuckles, and then he looks at me with those blue eyes and frowns. Why aren't you laughing? Because it isn't funny, I croak. I've been lying to you about so much. I'm too scared to look at him in the face. I focus solely on his loosely tight sneakers. The real reason Drew and I are doing these appearances together is because Carol thinks the tabloids will assume we're dating and write about us all the time. Which means they're writing about the movie too. Which means we're getting lots of publicity. I ramble. What's making it all harder is how much I don't like Drew. We dated longer than I said we did, Austin, and he dumped me and talked to the press. He used me, and I never really got over that until I found you. Anyway, I could have handled the press stuff, but now she's threatening to destroy my career if I don't do exactly what she wants. And what she wants now is for me to go with Drew to the Teen Titan Awards and not bring another date. And that's why she was talking to me at the Hollywood Girl Awards. He's mostly hurt that she keeps lying. And he likes spending time with her, and that's why he'd go to any event that she wanted to go to. But, when was she going to tell him? Because I'll tell you, she's known this information for 2 weeks at this point and hadn't told him. And, it's when was she going to tell you? Obviously now, when she told you. So, she's, afraid to trust people because, she doesn't, she's only dated people who wanted her for her star. Literally, her last relationship just used her like a footstool to yank himself up the Hollywood totem pole. And Austin also feels like he can't trust her, which is less understandable because you're a lacrosse player. Both of your parents are still together. And, Lori didn't break up with you because she was cheating or, lying. She was just a bad person. So, I less understand this. I've been stewing on this for a week. I still don't understand why his feelings are he can't, trust people. I mean, given he can't trust her because she keeps lying to him, but tomato, potato. He keeps trying to push her to push back on her handlers, but she knows it's not just that easy, and he refuses to admit that. It's not that simple, Austin, I protest. I don't even know how to stop this conversation. It's like a Porsche driving in the Chevrolet hills when the brakes fail. Sometimes I have to do things I don't want to do to help my career. Stop being afraid, Austin begs. They work for you. You remember? I bet if you told them some of the bigwigs at that studio what's going on, Carol would back down. This is my career, Austin. This town just got over what I did at Clark. If I mess up things with Carol, I may never recover. How can I make him understand? You don't really believe that, do you? Austin looks shocked. That one woman has the power to squash your career? Stop listening to Lainey and your mom and Carol and make your own decisions. She's 16. What do you have to lose? I look down at my Manolos. Everything. The purple and gray lines of the shoes wobble. I'm sorry, Austin. This is my life. Take it or leave it. His face crumbles. Then I'm sorry too, Caitlin. I could swear his voice just caught in his throat, but he clears it. I don't want him to walk out the door. I tell him how much I need him in my life, but he gave up so easily, just like I feared he would. That I take my pride just gets in the way of stopping him. Please leave. I cry instead. I turn my back so he can't see the mascara roll down my cheeks. I hear Austin grab his coat and walk to the door. Ask yourself this, Burke. His nickname for me is painful to hear now. Is it worth making everybody else happy if it makes you miserable? I hear the door shut behind him as I let the tears fall. Is this not the plot of book 1? Is her, taking control of her life for a little bit, it wasn't forever, but, she had to, get the inch to get the mile. It just, ugh. Untitled Touch Movie Project. Script continued. 218 International Airport Terminal. Same. We pan across the nearly deserted terminal of the closed airport that Project XT has taken over for their operations. Miss Murphy and her minions are dead near Gate 26, and the converted newsstand that houses the large lab full of superhuman serums is on fire. Donovan lies on the ground, unconscious and bleeding. Carly is hidden behind the airport check-in. 16! Before that, we got a taste of the last scene of the movie, the last big action scene of the movie in which Carly beats Regina and she saves Donovan's unconscious body. The taste of revenge. It starts out with a Hollywood secret, so it's whatever. They're filming inside of a fake airport for the big action scene. Hollywood secret number 16. Even a movie directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Reese Witherspoon, Julia Roberts, and George Clooney wouldn't be enough for LAX to shut down a terminal for a week of shooting. That's why Hollywood came up with this solution for filming their countless airline scenes. They've created their own airport. Air Hollywood in Los Angeles is 30,000-foot soundstage with a full working airport terminal that includes a bar, magazine shop, x-ray machines, as well as airport body makeups of 767s, DC-10s, and 747s that are constructed with seating, lavatories, and realistic cockpit, and removable walls for filming. Beats being hassled by the paparazzi in arrival areas, doesn't it? So, as we're finally wrapping up filming on this movie, things are coming to a head. Hutch is trying to coax some more passion out of the scene from Carly and Donovan, and then Danielle pulls him to the side, and two things happen simultaneously. A lot of screaming from Hutch, but two other things. Madison has been caught leaking things from the set to the press. She told the press that Hutch hated her, which was a fabricated lie. She's Sky's cousin and has been working unpaid this entire time. And so every bad thing that has come out in the press on set, and honestly a couple of lies that were planted by Liz and Nadine in an attempt to get, figure out if she was the liar, are all from Madison. She's being removed from the premises. Well, she talks to Caitlin first and apologizes, which we were given this information, and then she is removed from the premises. Carol has also been fired. She has been leaking important scenes for Buzz without permission. This absolutely possessed Hutch is the main man. He's not gonna let anyone tell him how to do anything. So she also gets fired from this movie and also from Wegmans proper. Sadly, Mia Burrows broke up with her PA boyfriend. The problem was they never actually got to see each other. So they had this beautiful relationship on paper. They were always so cuddly and fuddly on top of each other because that was the only time they were ever seeing each other. Nadine offers me an Oreo package. Can I be honest? She asks quietly. I don't think Austin not being in the business was the problem, Nadine pauses. I think the problem is you were afraid to let him in. What do you mean? I asked. You've always had to be careful about who you trusted. We know that, Nadine points out. Look at what gets printed about you in the tabloids. But if you're not honest with the guy you date, then you're not going to make any relationship work, including with Austin. I know you probably think I'm the last one who should be giving out relationship advice, Nadine adds with a grin. Nadine is a casual dater. She doesn't want to settle down until she's at least 40 because she hates the idea of a husband and kids slowing her down, like it has many of her friends from her hometown. But if a serious relationship is what you want, then you can't be so closed off. I told Austin plenty of stuff, I protest. You didn't tell him about Drew or Carol's demand. Liz reminds me gently. I know those things are hard to talk about for you, but Austin's a good guy. He would have listened. I screwed up, I choke. When did Austin and I start dating, he told me one thing you need from me was honesty. I can't cry. I have to go back on set soon. And I couldn't give him that. Kate's. Liz begins, but I stand up. It's too late. As I say as firmly as I can. I put him through the ringer and he doesn't deserve it. I'm not going after Austin. I've let him go. Caitlin doesn't want to continue to fight for Austin. She's emotionally tired and is stressed. She can't even enjoy the win over Sky because it's all been so much. With set being closed down for the day to deal with the whole Carol situation, they're no longer filming. And all she can do is cry. 17. That's a wrap. We're going to the wrap party for the Untitled film. The Carol has been booted from Wegmans and effectively from Hollywood for her publicity choices. And that's part of the reason why Lainey and her separated, is that Carol has absolutely no chill. That Lainey had a client that was pretty high profile and he wanted to have a secret wedding. And Carol went above Lainey's head and revealed that to the press and had helicopters over his wedding location. And Lainey found that was just too far. That was a bridge too far for her. And so she left and took a couple of her clients with her. And, you know, was like, I'm going to have a couple of boundaries with my guys. I kind of respect Lainey in this. I like Lainey. Caitlin's still all broken up about Austin. We go to a party where Sky is throwing a fit about being in the blooper reel because she doesn't like being laughed at. Everyone else is being laughed at, including Caitlin, who yeeted herself out of a window and took down a fake wall with her. But, you know, Sky is a wet blanket. Just a bad vibe to be around. Caitlin chats with Drew, where he realizes that he was really just jealous of Austin and wanted to make her life a living hellscape with Sky. But turns out Sky's even too crazy for him, and, you know, is kind of reluctant for what he kind of helped do, which is kind of, you know, a little shitty, because it's like, what if that was her 13th reason, huh? What if that was the end? What if that pushed her over? He apologizes, and there seems to be a bearing of the hatchet. Caitlin finally feels like she has resolved this trauma. This is why I can't wear my microphone for every video. I like to play with my hair too much. The two go to Hutch to give him the wrap gift, which is a spa date. You know, just, he deserves spa after all this craziness. Hutch is no longer like super angry and yelly all the time, and everyone notices it. And part of it is now he gets to drink again, and it's a little like, oh, he's just like an alcoholic asshole. Okay, Hollywood secret number 17. It's customary for stars to buy thank you gifts for their co-stars, directors, and crew when they wrap a big movie. Customary, but not obligatory. Most stars I know chip in and buy their director present. But big guns like actor George Cullen sometimes buy gifts for everyone from the smallest PA to craft services. Other times, in lieu of gifts, stars throw, or should I say host, because stars get everything for free, the wrap party. That's what Hutch is doing tonight. Hutch opens the envelope and laughs. It's a spa package for Le Petit Retreat Day Spa. To help me relieve stress, he tells the crowd. Everyone laughs. So, Hutch may or may not be an alcoholic. He's so mean because he has to be sober. Now they can have a drink in hand. He's much nicer. Hutch announces the winner, the name winner, which is Nadine. She won with Pretty Young Assassins. I don't know if I said that. Whoops! There was a pot going around to decide what the name was going to be of the untitled Hutch Adams film. And, you know, you could pull it out and you'd win $5,000. So Nadine has won $5,000. She was fully inspired by Caitlin and Sky's violent fight. I was afraid that this $5,000 was going to be what took her over the edge to be like, oh, I've raised enough money for business school. And then she was going to leave. But no, she's just, you know, she's gotten to it. She can take a big bank vacation now because of this $5,000. Hutch apologizes for doubting her when the press got rough. It's August 10th, and Family Affairs starts filming again on August 21st. She has to do the Teen Titans with Drew. And is Austin missing her like she's missing him? 18. The show must go on. A high-strung Caitlin can only think about Austin, as Nadine and Liz are coming in with some... Nadine comes in with some good older sister advice, and then Lainey and her parents come in with that bullshit. Maddie wants to have his own seat at the show, even though the show is booked to hell and back. Her parents aren't going to be there because that's not their scene. And her mom wants to make sure that she doesn't get shown up in her news in the next season of Family Affair because they're introducing some like vagabond character on set. Lainey wants Caitlin to wait until 3:30 to show up on the red carpet so that she's being interviewed with other actual big stars and not just, you know, people who show up really early. Hollywood secret 18. Just because you're a recognizable star doesn't mean you can just show up at any and all award shows. For Hollywood awards, everyone needs a ticket, even hotties like Orlando Bloom. The truth is, hundreds of stars request tickets to shows like the Golden Globes, and most are turned down. There are only 1,000 seats in the International Ballroom. Forget getting into a SAG Awards. Members have to download a form seeking an invitation to pay $600 for a ticket. We're going to say this one last time, and you better listen. You're making a mistake. We know you lied and messed things up, but we think you can fix it if that's really what you want to do. How many times can I apologize? I appreciate what you're trying to do, but it's no use. You can't fix this for me, and I can't fix it either. I'm surprised at you, Nadine replies simply. Why? Because the Caitlin Burke I know isn't one to give up. The Caitlin Burke I know fights for what she wants, whether it's a role in a Hutch Adams film or a ridiculous cat fight with her nemesis or a career comeback. She doesn't just lie down and die. But what do I know? But what do I know? Nadine shrugs and looks at Liz. Maybe Austin, or should I say the first guy you've ever really cared about, a guy who really liked you for who you are and not the after parties you could get him into, isn't worth fighting for. That's what she said. So her thinking about that, she realized that she was actually just like super scared of letting in Austin and him, pushing her away. And so she pushed him away before he could push her away first. She realizes this she realizes she has a bit of time before she has to walk the red carpet, and she runs to Rodney to go off to get Austin. I'm scared, I say out loud. I'm scared the real me isn't enough, and that's why I pushed him away. What is she talking about? I think she has stage fright. Sweetie, you've been on stage before. She grabs my hands, digging her 5-carat ruby ring into my palm. This is great practice for Broadway one day. Matt shakes his head. They should have asked me to host. Then you've got to tell him, Liz encourages. I look at my wrist and set on my watch with a dangling beaded bracelet. What time is it? It's 2:00, Nadine. You could be there in 20 minutes. Rodney, grab the Lincoln. Rodney's got the Lincoln waiting out front, Liz urges. I grab my bag, not wanting anyone to stop me. Rodney's got the Lincoln waiting. But how'd you know? Just go! No, you don't! Lainey throws herself in front of the door. You're not leaving this building. We have a red carpet in an hour. You can see him afterwards, Caitlin. What's going on? You said it yourself. You don't have to do the red carpet till 3:30. Nadine soothes, gently moving Lainey out of the way. I bolt for the door. Liz stands in the way of Lainey as I race into the hallway. Caitlin, if you're not back here by 3:15, I'm gonna have a heart attack! So, Caitlin goes over to what's-his-face. He's actually already got one foot out the door. She mouth vomits her apology back at him. He's all dressed up in his Armani suit, and he realizes that he was being a dingus, and he accepts her apology for also being a dingus, and he was gonna go to the event because Nadine and Liz got him all set up. They have them all made up. Hollywood secret number 19. Life is uncertain, but in Hollywood, a few things are law. If you want to stay hot, don't be photographed while driving with a baby in your lap. Sorry, Brittany, she didn't mean it. Wearing feathers will definitely land you on the worst dress list. Thank God your agent and your significant other in that order during the acceptance speeches. And above all else, remember that the end of the movie and TV show or a play or a book is never really the end. There's always room for a sequel. Okay, so I read this book. Again, I read it in about 4 days. I really read it in, I think it took me like 2.5 days to read the first half. And then I bulldozed pages 100 through 130. Essentially in one day. I went on a day trip and I just read in the car. I don't know. I don't love it as much as I loved the first book because it was so fresh then. Now I have to learn about Caitlin's flaws, and that's frustrating, but okay. I love it. I'm still enjoying it. So we can ride. We can ride. Tell me, are you coming for the ride? Hypnotized by the light. Man, this must be the life. I think there are 3. I'm getting annotation kit soon. So this is gonna be our next book. I'm so excited because I read through this one, then I went back to this one, but I bought this one new. I think I own 2 of the books new, so this one and the next book after this one I own new. I'm so excited to get started reading it. I couldn't read it until I finished filming this, so yay. Okay. Yeah. You know, Jen does it again. She writes a book that's like worth reading. And I just like chick lit, man. I went to the bookstore and I bought a romance novel. Like, I'm fully in my romance bag. Okay. Bye, guys. It's time to bring out the Bible! I like coordinated the font, the like pen color that I use for my notes with like the cover of the book. So this, you know, it's got a heavy red theme, so it's a red pen. And the next book is kind of like a tealy blue. Excuse me, so I'm gonna use a tealy blue. What do you think? I gotta bring the mail. Have you ever seen an ebook cover so ugly that it makes you buy the physical book? But you never have to interact with that ugly ass cover?